This also would enable Stemmer to not be only European and going into the US and Latin American market, because we are present in Mexico and in Brazil, and we will extend that also, but also to be present in Asia, to be a truly worldwide global company.
Welcome to a new episode of our inVISION podcast, 5 Questions Too. Our topics are image processing, machine and embedded vision, AI and metrology. My name is Peter Ebert, Editor-in-Chief of inVISION, and I'm happy to have you here for a new episode. In our new episode, we welcome Paul Scholten, CEO of Stemmer Imaging. In the interview, we learn why things have been a bit quiet at Stemmer Imaging in recent years, why that's changing at the moment, and what goals and plans the company has for the future, not just in Germany, but also in Europe, America, and Asia. Hello, and welcome at our podcast, Paul.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to give a little bit of insight in Stemmer Imaging, my findings, and what we are going to do, not only for now, but also for the future.
Sounds good. And let's start with the first question. Stemmer Imaging has been quiet for a long time. Why?
It's an interesting question. I guess that Stemmer Imaging has been maybe not well communicating what we have been doing over the last couple of years. And maybe also partly has been focusing internally a bit more as externally. And there are several reasons for this. If you look a little bit to the background of Stemmer, Stemmer has been a private company. At a certain point of time, Stemmer decided to go to the stock market. Usually when you do this, the management is focusing a lot around shareholder activities, investments, etc., while still, you could say, building on the expertise and the know-how and the goodwill that Stemmer has in the past, but also still today. And when you look into that, there are several things, I would say, not changing, but several things that we are working on. And this didn't start just today. It started already a couple of months ago. And I can probably tell there a little bit more about it.
Yeah, it would be great. Maybe you can tell us how and where will Stemmer Imaging become more active in the future or in the last few months?
Yes, the thing is here that, again, if you look to Stemmer, several departments, Stemmer has been working, of course, on customers based on the know-how, based on the expertise. If you look today, one of the parts is you need to be present. And when you need to be present, it's not only the internet site that you have where you present Stemmer Imaging, it's also the outside world. And the last couple of years, we also have seen and recognized that we have not been well enough presented on exhibitions, customer events. Yes, partly customer events, but not directly in the press. There's a big part that you need to show on your internet site. And I think there are a couple of items where we have thought about it over the last couple of months and where we believe that we need to play a much stronger role. Now, one of is the internet site. The internet site that Stemmer Imaging is having today is a little bit static. It's not directly the site where a lot of suppliers and customers will feel satisfaction. The thing is here, if you look to the internet site, it should represent your product. It should give, I would say, a pretty good overview on the products and on the product categories you have. Every supplier you're having a franchise with should be proud on dealing with Stemmer Imaging. And I guess that over the last couple of years, we moved to a different website. And what we see now, actually, with the change of the market conditions, the world outside is changing, that we also need to have a different internet image to go outside. So we have taken the decision to go for a new internet site. We have done this already. Decision has been taken, and the new site will be present by the end of this year. So this is pretty important. It also shows that Stemmer is a distributor purchasing different parts within the digital imaging world and then putting some kind of solution on it based on the expertise and the know-how that we have. So what you will see in the internet side, first of all, it should be a machine that you have product catalog, product search. It's also I would say, a lead generation machine, as we have been indicating with specialists. And as mentioned, we have done our due diligence over the last couple of months, and we have found a partner where we believe this will give us the best internet, you could say, image outside. So this is one part. The other part is that we have shown this already over the last couple of months. When you look to the exhibitions that we had and the fairs in Munich, Nuremberg, and Spain, as an example. So this is something that when we were there, the feedback from customers and suppliers has been enormous. So you can see that the planning that we have, you could say, within our marketing communications has changed in that sense that we have been doing a complete analysis in all the countries in Europe where we need to be, not only for now, but also for 2026. We have been really embracing the inputs of the different sales organizations we have in Europe, making sure that customer exhibitions, customer events locally in the country will be supported. And also the information that we use through social media, including blogs, are much more, I would say, precise to what we do. And I guess that has been a kind of gap that we experienced in the past, where we have not been really on a day-to-day basis expressing our activities to the outside world. So this is also something that we have changed, and we have given the marketing communication department more power and more abilities to go outside.
I'm just a little bit curious. You mentioned you would be more affairs, so will be Stemmer Imaging also at the Vision 2026 in Stuttgart?
Yes. And there's also the European Machine Vision Association. We are hosting this in November in our office in Munich. So that's also a sign that we are really more taking this part on our shoulders, making sure that we are visible to suppliers and customers. The other thing is that when you look to Stemmer has been growing in Germany over the time, and the goodwill that you have is really an example for the outside world. And it's also something that we have not been directly, I would say, dragging into the countries, using as a kind of vehicle of strength into the countries and into the different departments. So this is also something that we are changing. And when you see Stemmer Imaging has been organized over the last couple of years pretty centrally, we are also changing this already over the last couple of months, that there's a kind of control that you need to have in terms of software, in terms of solutions, in terms of supplier usage, in terms of product usage, but also you limit in a certain way also the organizations that you have outside. So what we have done, we had a sales workshop with all the sales management and also the representatives below in the countries. This has been going on over the last couple of months. And actually it means that we are more listening to the customers and to our salespeople in the countries, making sure that we do not lose any opportunity that is important for the future of Stemmer Imaging. The second thing that we do is the same in the marketing department. The marketing department is stable over the last 20, 25 years, but we have not been able to adapt to the outside world and to some of the changes that we see outside. That means there are specialities around cameras, around lenses, around illumination, but also some other product groups and also some other typical verticals where you see that there is a change happening. And one of them you can mention is the defense industry, but there's also the semicon industry. Now, Stemmer is doing quite well in both verticals, but at the same time, we have not been able to really form a task force around it, making sure that you have all the specialists and know-how within a department that is fully focusing on certain verticals. So this is also something that we have been correcting in that sense, and that you can really play an important role in, I would not call it emerging markets because it are known markets, but in markets that are really growing in Europe substantially.
You mentioned defense and semiconductor.
Yes.
What are other topics you will be active in the near future or markets?
Yes, I mean, there are basically 10 markets that Stemmer is following and where we are also pretty strong. They will remain, so that's not a change. The only thing is that when you see how many countries are investing in the defense industry and in the security, in the protection, then there are a lot of important customers, not only in Germany, but also in France, in the UK, in the Netherlands, in Spain, etc. You could say throughout Europe, then you need to have a play around it. And rather as having single activities in the countries, we are pulling this together in the headquarters, making sure that we have all the expertise in certain applications within the defense industry and within certain applications within the semicon industry. And both topics have been within a list of 10, 12 end markets that we are following. The only thing is that we are putting even more expertise within the two, making sure that we can participate to the growth that we see within the European market.
You mentioned a lot of other countries. In addition to Germany, Stemmer has significantly expanded its international activities in recent years, also to the US, through numerous acquisitions. And what are your future plans for Stemmer Imaging's international activities?
Yes, that's a good question. What you could say, and this is typically at that time as a private company, that when you acquire people, you need to look into processes, you need to look into systems. And when you look into that in those two fields, you can see that the integration of the acquisitions have not been completely used full to the 100%. And that's of course a pity. And this is also something that we are doing today. And to your question, if you look in the US, we had phase one. Phase one has been acquired a couple of years ago. One of the things we did just 2 weeks ago is that phase one is not called phase one anymore. It's now also called Stemmer Imaging. And the reason is that we will transfer the know-how and the expertise. Nobody else has this in the industry, the experts that we have, the people behind, and that we can use this expertise as a bridge into the US. And in the US, everybody knows there are 50 states, and we have been analyzing this. And we said, okay, there's basically 6 states where we need to be. The US market is pretty fragmented. And the way you do this is to install local people in the field. That means inside sales, outside sales, account managers, etc., but also technical expertise, because the customer is not buying a single product from a supplier. That is one part. The customer, in most cases, is buying a solution. And this is something where Stemmer Imaging is pretty good. That's our expertise, our basically go-to-market model. So we have created in Europe a technical call center where all the different experts are within. Everybody can see all their skills and in what they are good at. And when anybody in a state in US, but also for the European market, would need a certain expertise or a certain advice or know-how or support, we can do this through, of course, email, call, but also video call. But what we are doing in addition, and this is also the plan for 2026, that we are shipping, so to say, those experts for a certain period into the US to visit directly customers, to help the local sales organization with some of the expertise and the know-how we have here. When you look to the suppliers, I think that's also very important. You need to get the support from the suppliers. And it is very interesting that we had a second round with all our suppliers at CEO and senior level. And they are very positive towards Stemmer. I've been myself in these meetings, and people are very happy that we are, you could say, acting a bit more outside. We are more visible to customers, visible to suppliers. The internet site, I mentioned it before, reflects this. So suppliers can see their name. They see that it's not only Stemmer Imaging, we are depending also of our suppliers and of the cooperation with them. And these kind of suppliers are also giving us chances to support the US organization. And they're seeing a lot of chances to work together with Stemmer Imaging into those markets. And we also have defined several end segments and end applications in the US market where we believe we can play a significant role. So the plan for the US for us is probably over the next 3-4 years larger as what we do in total Europe.
Just a short question. There were also activities in Mexico last year, so mainly organized, I think, from your Spain STEMMER department. Will this also stay in Spain or will it be organized in the future from the US?
Yes, it's a very good question. What you need to do, you need to see that local activities are driven locally in terms of order intake, in terms of accounting, bookkeeping, warehouse, etc. That doesn't mean that, especially due to the language, that we stop all the activities out of Spain. The other thing is there are also, I would say, many advantages when you are part of a private equity community for more than 50%. Because Middle Ground, in that sense, has been acquiring many, many different companies in the US. And the beauty is that those companies, they're having warehouses paid already by them in the different entities, whether you talk about Mexico, Brazil, but also in the US. So it's easier for us to work with those together using some of the facilities because they're actually there.
I see big plans for the near future. Beside that, what other trends do you currently see in the field of machine vision that STEMMER imaging can already serve or will serve in the near future?
I think we have not been elaborating all the possibilities with existing products within cameras, lenses, and lighting. And those three fields together are already presenting more than 80% of our turnover. And that means that you need to go deeper. You need to look around. You need to have the discussions with the suppliers to look, okay, any other products, any new acquisitions you have been exploring, can we be a part of it and can we get that franchise? And these are the kind of discussions you have. So this is one part. Then the other part is that there are other fields in the market, trends where we have been a little bit hesitating to enter them. One part could be smart cameras. That's a big one. And that's also a low-end one. So these are the kind of strategic decisions you need to take as STEMMER imaging to see what is your direction. And for the moment, STEMMER imaging is very well prepared, you could say, for the middle part of the market. Also due to the expertise, etc. For the high-end. High-end, I mean complicated, extended applications where people really need a lot of support. So that's the kind of stuff we are, I would say, pretty well prepared. And also due to, I would not call it reorganization, it's a kind of optimization of resources in the marketing department to be even better answering on the needs of the suppliers and especially the customers that we have in Europe and in Asia. This is also something that STEMMER imaging is pretty good in that. So these are the kind of markets, they will even be more mature and they will play a pretty important role in the future of STEMMER imaging. And STEMMER imaging is not in Asia yet. And we have these kind of discussions with the customers that we say, okay, if you want to go in China, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Indonesia, Thailand, it doesn't matter, or India, it doesn't matter, we will follow you. This also would enable STEMMER to not be only European and going into the US and Latin American market, because we are present in Mexico and in Brazil, and we will extend that also, but also to be present in Asia, to be a truly worldwide global company.
At the end, I have just another question. Some years ago, you bought Perception Park, a hyperspectral imaging company. Hyperspectral imaging is becoming more and more important. Will hyperspectral imaging also a topic for STEMMER imaging in the future?
Sure. There are certain plans for this. It's one of the topics that we just recently have been discussing. So it's difficult to give now more details about it. But the answer is yes, we are looking into that.
Paul Scholten, thank you very much for these answers and this overview over the plans for STEMMER imaging in the future. So thanks a lot for being guest in our podcast.
Thank you very much. I appreciate and thanks for the timing. And of course, thanks for the invite.
If you would like to find out more about inVISION, please register for our inVISION newsletter at invision-news.de/news, become a follower of our LinkedIn channel inVISION News, or find out about our webinars at invision-news.com/TechTalks. I look forward to welcoming you to our next episode of our inVISION podcast, 5 Questions 2.